Hi.
I am so excited to show you this video here today, and I am honored that you clicked on this video today. So I'm not gonna make you wait till the end to see the finished product. The finished product is right here. Oh boy, it's real. Look at that. Look at the way it shines. So today I'm going to be showing you the whole process of how I created this, what tools I use, what references I use, what I struggled with, what I didn't struggle with, what I like about the piece, what the piece means to me, everything about this. So first off, before we get into the process of creating it, I wanted to show you what kind of tools I used. Very basic, generic stuff. People have asked me if this was done in colored pencil, and I can totally see how it gives off that appearance at first. But no, it was not. It was actually done with this exact pen, actually, this white jelly roll that is just so close to death. Wow, that's like a lot of pen on my hand. You didn't need to see. So the candles and the skull on this were used with this white jelly roll and just normal black Bic pen. It just says Ultra Round Stick Grip. It's just a normal Bic writing pen, specifically writing pens like this, like the cheap ballpoint ones like that. That is what I specifically use with these white jelly rolls to get this type of effect. And then with the rose, obviously I used red. This is also a Bic pen. It just says Round Stick M on it. These are probably the most common pens you could ever find, like $1 at Walmart, Walgreens, whatever. I used the red, white, and the black for the rose, but that was all I used. And the paper, of course, this kind of, it's like a beige gray, I guess. It came from this right here. It is Canson Pastels. There's all sorts of colors in here. I love using this. You can see that there's a blue color. That's the gray, beigeish color that I used. This is like a lighter, yeah, I guess that's like a lighter, more rosier gray. And then you have orange and yellow and white. That was basically all the tools I used to create it. I did use references. I used a reference for the skull, the candles, and the flowers. So I'll put the reference pictures over my face right now, just so that you can see what I used. I got all these photos from Pinterest. I get most of my reference photos from Pinterest. I really enjoyed working on this piece, and I hope you enjoy the video on this piece because I could not stop working on it. Even when I had something to do or I just did not have the time, I would still work on it because I was just so excited to finish it. I just felt like this was very much a breakthrough piece for me. It really helped my creative juices flow, I guess you could say. I'm just so excited for you to see the process, and I really hope you learn from the video. If you don't learn from the video, I hope that you just enjoy watching it. And yeah, I'm not gonna waste your time anymore. Let's go see how I created this.
So it all started with this little 1" by 1" rough draft, and then I scaled it up and put it on this sheet of paper, and this is just the final graphite lining that I put down, and after that I'll go in with pen. So I was actually really nervous to get to the candles and finally color it in with pen because I just hadn't done any design like this before, and I really wanted it to turn out well. I loved how the rough draft was going, but this was me filling in the first candle, and immediately as soon as I started, I felt comfortable with it, and I was like, yeah, this is going well, this is going good, I was feeling good. So I actually took a lot of videos and photos at this point on my social media because I was like, yes, I am excited about this now. It's like actually turning out the way I want it to. In this video, it looks like I'm just adding in some final touches, but for the most part, it is completely filled in and completely blended. Just adding an extra pop of white. Ooh, look at it. Isn't it so pretty? Wow. So now I've got a couple more candles drawn out, and you can really see the distinction between the color of the paper to the white ink, and I was really liking how that was turning out. It looked really bold and interesting, and you can also see the depth coming together in the candles, in the ones that are drawn out now. And in the video you can see I'm just going back and forth to white and black pen, just blending, making sure every piece of it is perfect. If you look at it close up, which in the end you will see photos of the finished product a little closer up, you'll see that the way I draw kind of makes the pen appear as pointillism, because it's just like little dots just all kind of blended together because I just go back and forth with each pen, just blending it out. So at this point, about half the candles are done. That's just the full length shot. And here, this was actually the last candle that I had to fill in. And this video demonstrates really well the way that I was filling in every wax dripping. And so I just lined it in black and then would fill in the entire, I guess, dripping droplet. You know, the wax strain, I would go by each strain of dripping wax and fill it in with white, just a thin layer, didn't have to be too opaque. And then go in with the black around the edges so that, of course, the candle wax looks like it is a layer on top of the candle, give it a more 3D effect. And then I go back into the white and I just go over spots that I might have pressed too hard with the black pen or just too much ink came out, and get rid of those darker spots, and then blending with the black, blending with the white. It's just going back and forth, and then that's the finished candles. Wow, we did it, amazing. So here I'm showing you how I outlined each of the wax strings, I guess we're gonna call it. I outlined it with white because I was preparing to draw the skull. So another thing I did to prep myself for drawing the skull was I went in with just the black pen and outlined everything that I knew I needed to shade in dark, and then I was going to go in later with the white pen and fill it in with white, and then of course blend the parts in that were darker, that were in the shadows. But this was just so that I could place the shadows there so that I knew where they were supposed to be before I went in with the white. So I was really excited to draw this skull because I knew it was going to be the centerpiece of the whole thing. And it turned out great. I'm really proud of it, but boy did it kick my ass. There was just a lot of detail, a lot of fine-tuning. Paying attention to proportions was a huge thing for it as well, since it's a atomically correct human skull. But yeah, it kicked my ass, but it was worth it in the end, clearly. So right here you can see me filling in this spot kind of in the jawbone cheek area, completely in black, and another spot kind of at the back of the skull, completely black. And that's because in my photo reference there was no light on it at all, and it was just solid black. So those parts of the piece weren't going to have any white on top of it. It was just going to stay completely black. because if I was to put white on top of those black spots, it would give it this kind of blue-gray effect. You could probably see from the candles that blue color that I'm talking about, which is what happens whenever I use those two particular pens and use them to blend. Now it looks like I have part of the back of the head filled in with white, and I'm just going back and forth with my two pens, blending it out in that little dip in the skull. And you know, something very interesting about this clip that I still haven't figured out is there seems to be this bird's nest that keeps popping up on the left bottom side. See, there it is again. What is that? You know? Like, I don't recall a bird being in my apartment, but that is clearly a bird's nest. So what should I think otherwise? So there's not much to explain here as far as techniques of how I went through completing this skull. I basically did it patch by patch. So I would just take one smallish piece of the skull and fill it in completely with white, and then go over with black where I knew there was shading, and I just continued that process and just went little by little by little, perfecting each piece of it. So I didn't get much time-lapse footage of me drawing the skull, but I got plenty of progress photos. So that's when I had the forehead and the back of the skull. That's when the eye sockets were done. And then that's when I had the jawbone done, which looked really nice whenever I finished that. At this point, I've got about 90 to 80% of the skull done. I just need to finish up this chin bone and the teeth. And as you can see, I'm working kind of in sections. You can see that I kind of drew a rectangle shape to fill in with white, just because most of this chin bone area was white, besides a bit of shading up top by the bottom teeth and a shadow at the bottom of the chin. It was mostly white. So I was going through with these big rectangular sections just to make the process go by faster, because I was sick of drawing the skull. I had been working on it for a really long time, and I just wanted it to be done. And as I work up this section that I outlined, I'm going to these little indentions right at the bottom of the teeth and just very lightly filling those in with black, just the slightest bit of a shadow, just to show that there's a dip right there at the bottom of the teeth. And now we've gotten to the fun part, the teeth. I wanted to leave this part for last because I thought it was really going to be the cherry on top, the finishing touch to it all, and it didn't disappoint. These were really fun to do because I just worked by each tooth, just filling it in with white and adding the shading, as you know, as I've said a million other times in this video. Side note, if you hear children screaming in the background of this voiceover, just know that no, I am not the one making these children scream. It is someone else outside. I don't know what kind of cruel, sick prank they are playing on these kids, but they are just screaming their little damn heads off, and I just don't want to be associated with it. Oh, look at those teeth. I mean, this person must have had a great orthodontist. So the skull was finally done, and as you can see, I had already started working on the rose, mostly because I wanted to test how the red would look with everything, because I wasn't too sure about that part. But I think it took me about a day to finish this rose, so I took progress pictures, but not much video. So it's just red and white now. And as I worked up to the petals, I added in black for more depth, but I was planning on originally keeping the stem and leaves just that, just red and white, no black, no extra depth. I just wanted it in the actual flower itself, but my boyfriend actually pointed out to me that it would look better if I outlined it in black, so I did. But right here it isn't outlined in black yet. I'm just working on the petals, and the reference that I actually had for this piece was not a very good reference shading wise. The lighting was really weird in it. I think the lighting was either coming from the back or up top, so it wasn't really what I needed for the way I had set up my flower. But I made it work. I just kind of looked at some other pictures of flowers, and just from my own knowledge of how petals bend, I could understand where the shadows would go and where the highlights would go. Oh, what? And look here. A wild Devante seemed to appear. I think those are pretty rare. So, as I said before, at this point, I had only used the red and the white and not really gone in with the black for any extra depth, and was not going to outline the leaves and stems with black. So because I made that choice, I actually had to go over the black outline that I had placed there way back when I had just finished doing the graphite. I had traced the very outside of it with black, and so I had to cover up those black lines by layering it with white and then letting the white dry so that the black didn't blend in. So once the white was completely dry, then I went with the red on top so that the red was more opaque and it popped, because of course if I was to place the red on top of this tan paper, it would make it a darker red, but I wanted this the brightest red it could possibly be, so that's why I had to put the white on top. But it's just kind of funny that I spent all that time fixing the outline, and I ended up outlining it in black anyways. So this was the flower after I had added black to the petals, but not the stem, so you can see the clear distinction between the two. And after I added the black here, it looked a lot more put together. And after all that hard work, the piece is officially finished. Look at that skull. Wow, look at those teeth, those candles, that flower. All amazing, wonderful, wow. So now that we're done with the piece, we're actually not done at all, because we still gotta crop it and we still gotta add the signature. And of course, because I'm a perfectionist, I had to go back through and fix every possible little mistake that I could find. I also erased a bit of the pencil outlining that was showing through on some spots, and just perfected it to the best of my ability. Right now I'm in super concentration mode, cutting this piece because I just need it to be as straight as possible, no mistakes, because if I mess up here, I'm fucked. But thankfully, everything went fine. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for. There she is, Mrs. America. She's got candles dripping on her head, and a rose coming out of her eye, and also she's dead. 'Cause it's just a skull, and this actually isn't Miss America.
Thank you so much for watching this video and going on this journey with me, especially if you kept up with my Instagram and my Twitter with all the updates on this. My final thoughts on this piece is it's one of my favorites, honestly. I'm not going to be super humble and say like, yeah, it's okay. No, I fucking love it. So something that I've noticed artists don't do very often is they won't really explain their piece, and some say that that is the correct thing to do, that the artist shouldn't explain the reasoning for their piece and that the interpreter should be the one trying to figure it out. But fuck that. So for me, I wanted this piece to represent kind of a new start and of growth, and that's why first and foremost I wanted a flower in it, and I wanted specifically a flower that wasn't bloomed yet, that looked like it was just at the edge there, just about to bloom, you know? And I love skulls, so I wanted a skull, and of course the skull represents a person, a human, because it is a human skull. And I wanted these candles to kind of represent maybe something, it could be anything really, but just something pushing the human spirit down. It could be depression, could be anxiety, could be anything you really want to interpret it to be, but something is weighing down this person or this skull in the image. And that is also why I added this little puddle of wax drippings with the little drop at the end. It's kind of like a teardrop. They're sad, you know? This person is sad, this person feels weighed down by all this heavy wax, heavy candles, but out of that sorrow grows this rose. If you would like to keep up with the progress of my newest art pieces on social media, you can follow me on Rissa the Artist on Instagram. It's just Rissa the Artist on Instagram, and on Twitter it is Rissa_the Artist. Both places I post a lot of updates on my art. I've already started on my newest project, and I will be, of course, documenting the progress on social media. At some point in the progress, I do stop posting on social media just so that it can be more of a surprise when I post the video. As far as future plans with this piece specifically, I do plan on making prints of it, and I do want to get prints on t-shirts or even sweaters, just apparel in general. I'm gonna try my best. Just know that it's gonna take a bit of time, but I am working on an online store where you will be able to buy prints of this. So far, I just want to make prints in the same original size that it is and prints on t-shirts. If I can go further with what I can sell from this design, then I will. I know a lot of people have been contacting me while I've been in the progress of making this design for tattoos. Like, they want this design as a tattoo. And I'm working on that, kind of. I think I want to try to go to tattoo shops and tattoo artists and possibly sell them the copyright to this piece so that it can be tattooed. But of course, I'm not a tattoo artist, so I can't tattoo it on someone, but it is my art. So I'm gonna try and see if I can sell it to a tattoo artist. I don't even know if that's a thing or whatever, but I'm gonna try my best because I know a lot of people like this design as a tattoo, but I still want to, you know, get creative credit from it. I don't want someone just taking the image and then giving it to a tattoo artist and say, tattoo this on me. So I want to make it available for people to get it tattooed if they want it tattooed. Thank you for supporting this channel or my Instagram or my Twitter, anything. Thank you for being a part of my artistic journey at all. Bye.